43. Ar Raqib, the Watchful, the Ever-Watchful. Ar Raqib is one of the 99 names of Allah, God, mentioned in Islamic tradition. Ar Raqib, Ar Raqibu, is derived from the Arabic root raqaba, which means to observe, watch or guard. Allah is Ar Raqib, in Arabic Ar Raqibu, meaning the one who sees what's hidden. He is the vigilant witness and acts as a guardian protecting his creation. It also relates to the attribute of knowledge. He is the one who sees the truth in everything. This name reflects Allah's attribute of constant vigilance and awareness of everything that occurs in the universe. It signifies that Allah is always observing and aware of our actions and intentions, holding us accountable for our deeds. He knows the secrets of every soul, and on the day of recompense, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward it for what it's earned. The name Ar Raqib reminds believers to be conscious of their actions, as they are constantly under the watchful eye of Allah. From the root ra kaf ba, which has the following classical Arabic connotations: to look, watch, be vigilant, to expect, anticipate, await, to keep an eye on, detect, observe, to be mindful of. To be a spy, scout, observer, to regard, hold in consideration, and respect. There are two connotations as to what it means for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the all-watchful. The first is obvious: He sees the deeds of all His servants. Nothing is hidden from His sight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is well aware of the details of every matter. Armed with this knowledge, we should be aware of ourselves, our actions, and our motives. It should inspire us to do what's right in all instances. To work diligently serving Allah's cause and seeking His approval, a constant reminder of Allah's ever-watchful nature. Living with this name at the forefront of our minds should make it easier to mitigate the evil temptations of shaitan and our ego, the two biggest enemies we face. However, this definition is just one of two and more befitting of the name Ash-Shahid, meaning the observing witness. O mankind, fear your Lord, who created you from one soul and created from it its mate and dispersed from both of them many men and women. And fear Allah, through whom you ask one another, and the wombs. Indeed, Allah is ever over you an observer. Quran 4:1. Ar Raqib refers to His nature of being watchful, not in the sense of scrutiny or judgment, but just as a parent or guardian would be watchful over their child with love and care. He has not created us aimlessly to wander and become preoccupied elsewhere. Imam al-Ghazali says of Ar Raqib is one who knows and protects. If we were aware of the constant surveillance or permanence of His gaze, we should feel safe and secure. But also, like a parent watching over a child, we should be very cautious to avoid approaching things that have been forbidden. In northern Syria, there is a castle called Qalat al-Markab, which translates to Castle of the Watchtower. This castle was strategically built 1,180 feet above sea level to overlook the Mediterranean Sea. The word Markab shares the same Arabic root, Ar Raqib. A markab refers to something tall, high above, and looked down upon. In this case, the castle is a high vantage point to protect from potential intruders or attacks. Never did I say to them aught except what you, Allah, did command me to say: worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord, and I was a witness over them while I dwelt amongst them, but when you took me up, you were the watcher over them, and you are a witness to all things. Quran 5-117. In this verse above, Jesus or Isa, as, describes how He was a witness to the people while He was among them. But when he was brought up from earth to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there was no one to watch over his flock except Allah. Analogous to a shepherd, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides food, drink, and shelter. He is the one who protects us from the harm of many dangers we're not even aware of. In the next verse, if you should punish them, indeed they are your servants, but if you forgive them, indeed it is you who is the exalted in might, the wise. Quran 5-118. Sometimes sheep will go astray, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides the signs to be guided back to the straight path. He has all the power and every right to punish. He is the shepherd or master, and we are the sheep. Yet Isa, says, but if you forgive them, indeed it is you who is the exalted in might, the wise. Our misbehaving does not affect him as he is exalted in might. His forgiveness is not a sign of weakness but a mark of his intelligence, wisdom, and kindness. In one hadith, it describes how the companions gathered around the Prophet and asked questions about al-Iman, al-Islam, and al-Ihsan. In the hadith, they discussed the obligations of al-Iman and affirmed al-Qadr, the divine decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is quite a long hadith, but at one point, it was asked of Prophet inform me about al-Ihsan, perfection or performance of good deeds. He said, that you worship Allah as if you are seeing Him, for though you don't see Him, He, verily, sees you. A common thread that runs through each name requires us to look inward. The believer benefits from this self-monitoring, not just from doing immoral acts but asking if they are living up to their potential. Are they using their time in a manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be pleased to see? By truly embracing this perspective, a person can become more aware of how they dispense with their time. A person looks to see how they can be more productive and contribute to the well-being of their community, family, or friends. However, we must learn to balance, to not live with guilt, to take time to enjoy the many blessings Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for us as well. In Surah Ar-Rahman verse 13, so which of the favors of your Lord would you deny? Imam al-Ghazali also warns, knowing that his own soul is an enemy to him, and that Satan is his enemy, and that both of them take the opportunity to prompt him to forgetfulness and disobedience. This is similar to the famous African proverb, if there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Suppose we learn to understand the root of our desires, fears, and insecurities. In that case, we can neutralize the destructive ways they manifest. If we are watchful over ourselves, we can protect ourselves from many shortcomings. In Surah Al-Hujurat 49:18, it is mentioned, indeed, Allah is ever, over all things, a witness. This verse signifies that Allah is constantly watching over everything, observing all actions, and nothing escapes His knowledge and observation. Another verse that reflects the attribute of Allah's watchfulness is found in Surah Al-Mujadila 58-7. Do you not see that Allah knows whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth? There is no secret conversation of three but that He is the fourth of them, nor are there five but that He is the sixth of them, and no less than that. And no more except that He is with them in knowledge wherever they are, then He will inform them of what they did on the day of resurrection. Indeed Allah is, of all things, knowing. These verses, among others in the Quran, emphasize that Allah is ever watchful, fully aware of everything happening in the universe. His knowledge encompasses everything, including the hidden and the apparent. This attribute reminds believers to be conscious of their actions, knowing that they are being observed by Allah and that they will be held accountable for their deeds.